she'd just been diagnosed, and I was out visiting them, and I was cooking with Superfoods at the time because I was so interested in healing myself, and so I was cooking for them, and so my mom said, this thing does not want to stay in my ear.
Yep.
My mom said that her pain was starting to go away. And my dad said, well, you're smart. Figure out how to fix your mom.
And you kind of did.
And I did.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Healthy You. It's Wednesday morning, somewhere around the 8:30-ish mark is when we get started. I'm Kim Martin, host of your show. And it is my goal every Wednesday to come live with you and just share some information to help you live a whole healthy life, whole wellness, whatever that may be. We talk about motivation, we talk about food, we talk about relationship with food with Mary Art Apple, and then we just bring special guests on who I think have information that can help you. And so I have my wonderful friend, Kristin Mathers, with me today. Hey, Kristin.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
I'm so excited about this show. You and I have been working together now. I was just looking a year. We met almost a year ago.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
I know. And so we have become fast friends in the last year because we have a lot in common with our wellness goals and helping people to live healthier lives. We both have experience of helping ourselves, and so then you want to help others when you experience that kind of success.
Right.
And so your story is really amazing, and so I thought it'd be super cool to share what happened when you started introducing whole foods and paying attention to what you were eating. You were just talking before the show started recording about your mom and rheumatoid arthritis, but you were diagnosed with an issue. And then this whole eating your bee, I know it's like, could you be eating your bee? I thought that would get you tuned in this morning. Like, what the heck is that all about?
Right.
So just start sharing, kind of start back, rewind a little bit where you were talking about your diagnosis and then your mom's diagnosis and how you got into this whole wellness thing.
So my mom, I was diagnosed with Epstein-Barr. And Epstein-Barr is the virus that causes mono. So if anybody's ever had mono, it's horrible and it's debilitating, and you always just want to sleep.
Right.
That's all you want to do.
My daughter had it last November.
Yeah, I remember. And it was pretty awful because I kept going to the doctor, and the doctor kept saying, "Oh no, you're fine. You're depressed. I'll put you on Prozac."
Oh,
and I was like, "I'm not depressed. I'm exhausted. I need to sleep, or I need to figure out why I need so much sleep."
Sure.
And so nobody could help me. And finally I went to a doctor and I said, "It feels like mono. Can you just please test me for mono?" And the doctor said, "I'll test you, but only because you're being so belligerent about it." And I didn't really feel like I was being belligerent. I was adamant, but I wasn't belligerent. So he tested me and he called me 3 weeks later and said, "Guess what? Yeah, you've got mono, you've got Epstein-Barr." And I said, "That's great. What are we going to do about it?" And he said, "Nothing. You're going to live the rest of your life this way." And
Epstein-Barr is a chronic case of constant.
It's a virus, and it causes chronic illness.
Okay.
If you Google it and read about it, it eventually can cause cancer. It causes organ failure. It's not a pretty diagnosis.
It's very serious.
And when you're sleeping that much, it's really because your body's kind of eating itself.
Well, it's trying to figure out what to do. It recognizes there's a serious condition, so in rest your body can heal itself, right?
Well, yes and no. In this case, from what I understand now, I didn't do a lot of research into the disease because I was more interested in figuring out how to fix it.
Right.
But from what I have read, and from what people have told me, that your organs sort of start to shut down.
Oh gosh, it sounds pretty serious.
So while I was started researching, and I started finding out that vitamins can cure cancer and vitamins can cure all sorts of different things, and I was like, this is amazing. Why isn't this mainstream? And there's a long reason why. But when I thought, well, okay, I'll go take vitamins. And I thought, well, Whole Foods must do their research. They get organic. So I'll just go get a brand that Whole Foods recommends. And at the time, I obviously wasn't living here because there's no Whole Foods here. But so I got these vitamins and noticed no difference. And I was also really into superfoods, figuring, okay, I've got to get nutrients somehow.
Sure.
So I might as well get them from food as well as from vitamins. And so I was taking all this stuff and no difference. And so, but cooking with superfoods, I did notice somewhat of a difference. And then I went out to visit my parents, and I was cooking with the superfoods and cooking for my parents. And my mom had been just diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Which is a kind of an inflammatory disease.
It's an inflammatory autoimmune disease.
Okay.
Where your joints are just on fire.
Sure.
And basically the body's attacking your joints. So she was in chronic pain. She couldn't even have a sheet over her feet at night. She was in so much pain. And so with the superfoods, she started to feel better. And by the time I left, my dad said, "You're smart. Figure out how to fix your mom." So I now had two people to fix.
Right. So between you and your mom, you dove right into figuring out what you guys needed
Well,
to do.
I kind of had already read a lot, so I knew that nutrients were the cure. It was a matter of how to get those in the most concentrated amounts. So I started studying brands of vitamins, and there's this wonderful book that was that rates vitamins on I think it's 18 different things is in terms of how absorbable they are they available in the body's the way the body needs them, all these different ways of ranking vitamins. And so I found
Because not all vitamins are the same.
no, there's what's called food grade, and then there's what's called pharmaceutical grade. And so if something's manufactured to food grade, Cheerios says, well, and I should probably mention a brand, but
It's okay. We're not that famous yet. One day we might have to watch out for that, but I think we're okay now. But anyway, certain cereals.
So certain brands say, well, if God can't make two zucchini the same, how can we be expected to make two fill in the blank the same?
Right.
So the food grade label has a little bit of wiggle room. And as you know, if something's below a certain percent, they don't have to put it on the label at all.
Right.
And if something's off a little bit, then that's fine because
They have room.
They have room. With pharmaceutical grade, they have to be what's 100% of what's on the label is in the product and in the right amounts of what it says.
Right.
So you really want somebody that's a company that's, if you're going to take vitamins, that's tested and that's doing this.
They're formulated.
They're formulated. And the company that I ended up finding is formulated by a cellular biologist and immunologist who has a whole team of staffers that do the same thing. And most vitamins that you find, formulated by a doctor, which most doctors don't know about nutrients.
Not all
anyway.
of them. Well, 100% of them. I mean, you know what I mean? They might know certain things about certain nutrients, but to get an array of knowledge, it's hard to find one doctor that knows that much about it all. Yeah.
Well, physicians, a cellular biologist or immunologist, they're going to know.
Right.
Because that's that's the field. So this company formulated these vitamins and did them pharmaceutical grade, and according to pharmaceutical manufacturing processes, they're an FDA registered facility. And so I started taking these vitamins, and within days I didn't need a nap, and my immune system started to boost, and I changed my life.
Yeah.
And ironically, the founder of the vitamins also founded the test for Epstein-Barr.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh.
Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
So it kind of saved my life twice.
And but yeah, that is kind of cool. But now you're talking about superfoods too. So when you say superfoods, what do you mean? What does that mean to you? Like superfoods, like give examples.
Well, you can Google superfoods.
Sure, like
you
the
can
top
find a
10.
whole list. But kale has been regaled as one of as a superfood. I personally am not fond of kale. So.
It is good for you though. But like
Avocados, anything that's rich and vibrant in color is going to be good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Spinach, iceberg lettuce, while it's nice and crunchy, is not going to be high on the nutrient list, whereas spinach or something that's darker and deeper in color is.
Yeah. So you reduced the sugar and
I really went to a whole food diet. I had to. I still ate some meat, but every once in a while I go vegan, and I'm like this summer it's so flipping hot that I'm on my vegan path again.
So you kind of do that every now and then.
Every now and then. But I had to play with it and figure out what was, what worked best for me. But what I found was that when I started coaching people, so that led me to so my mom, I gave the vitamins to my mom, and 4 days later she called me and she said, I want you to know, not only am I pain free for the first time in 4 years, I'm wearing high heels. And I was like, go mom. So she felt better, told friends about it, and then I started giving speeches. And then one day I gave, and I started studying more about, getting a coach, getting licensed in coaching, and, making this really a career and a business. And so I was giving a speech here in Peoria, and I sent it to a friend of mine in the insurance business, and he, thinking that he probably knew somebody that would, in the HR field, because I wanted to get in more corporate wellness. And he called me up and said, you're hired. And I said, what do you mean I'm hired? And he goes, well, wellness is the biggest thing in insurance. So, we're hiring you.
Right.
And I said, to do what? And he goes, I don't know. We'll figure it out. So we started working together. And he said, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to give a speech at our annual luncheon deal. And so
Right.
I get my PowerPoint going and I'm all ready to go, and I get there and it's at a golf course and it's all windows. So there's nowhere to throw it. So I started telling the story about my mom, and the owner of the company stood up and he said, wait, how much does a rheumatoid arthritis patient cost us a year? And the drug rep stood up and said, about $40,000. And he looked at me and he said, Kristin, how much is your program? And I said, about a quarter of that. And he goes, and I forgot to tell you guys that 8 months later, my mom tested negative for rheumatoid arthritis, and the doctor couldn't believe it. And so he tested her 3 times.
So she had been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and now
Absolutely.
It's gone.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep. And so then the doctor said, well, maybe we had a false positive
Right.
in the beginning. And my mom said, I don't care. My pain is gone. All I care is that I don't have pain anymore.
But your mom did have the symptoms.
She had rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, she was burning. She couldn't have a sheet over her feet at night.
Right.
So we were able to definitely cure her. Now she still has to take vitamins and she still has to eat healthy, because your body is a new body every 6 months because you regenerate these cells. Well, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to regenerate unhealthy cells, and if you take care of yourself, you're going to regenerate healthy cells. So it's all a matter of what kind of cells you're regenerating.
Right.
And so food is what does that. It's the thing that helps you regenerate either unhealthy cells or healthy cells.
So are you eating your B?
So as I got into this and I started coaching, and this insurance company hired me, and they basically gave me their toughest cases of people who were really expensive and who had not been able to find peace or any sort of help through the medical system. People who were really sick.
So when you say expensive, meaning they had a lot of medical bills because they're sick. So people
Correct.
who had issues.
Correct.
Health issues.
Correct.
Okay. That's who you were working with.
That's who I was working with, and including people who just the doctor couldn't figure out what was wrong with them, diabetics, rheumatoid arthritis, MS. I just got thrown anything that was difficult.
Right.
But I learned very quickly that you could be eating your bee. So if you get stung by a bee, you get inflammation, right?
Right.
And that's acute inflammation. When you get stung by a bee over and over and over and over and again, you're going to get chronic inflammation. And what most people don't understand is your immune system is in, maybe people do, I don't know, but your immune system is primarily 80% of it is in your gut.
Gut, yeah.
So with these things,
we're learning, because that's a big topic right now, gut health.
Gut health.
Yes.
Well, it speaks to the rest of your body.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're even talking, recent research is even saying that if you have bad gut health, it can lead to Alzheimer's. It can lead to other dementia.
Sure.
So it's a big problem if people don't really realize is a big problem.
Because it's happening inside, and you may or may not have symptoms yet.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
So if you're eating your bee, then you're eating something that the body recognizes as inflammatory, and the body recognizes as unhealthy. And so the body says, oh, we don't like this, and it starts to swarm it. So, well, first of all, with the gut, if you're eating your bee, you have these things called villi in your gut, and they're like fingers.
Okay.
And those fingers protect from foreign objects entering your bloodstream. They only want to let nutrients through, right? So, but if you eat your bee, all of a sudden your villi start to do this and they start to separate like that. So instead of being like this, they're like that. Well, when that happens, all these foreign objects like gluten and anything that's bad.
That's not a nutrient. That's
not a
supposed
nutrient.
to go through
It's
there.
supposed to go through there. That can end up going into your bloodstream, and wherever that lands, if it lands on your joints, it's rheumatoid arthritis. If it lands on your thyroid, it's Hashimoto's. So when you understand that and you stop eating your B, then you can start to heal. And what I find is there's 7 highly allergic foods that that are the top 7 that I usually try for. But it can be something that you eat every day. So if you eat pineapple every day, it could be pineapple. It's just that the body stops liking it for whatever reason.
So it really can be anything, although pineapple is an
anti-inflammatory
food. Technically should be very good for you, but it really can. You can be allergic to anything.
Correct.
So it's really about, and so if your body is fighting back, what I think I heard you say is, if your body is fighting back with some type of, especially like autoimmune disease, it could be because it's recognizing something you're eating as a toxic, like a bee, like something that your body's going, this is an issue. And so
it's going to fight that issue.
And showing up in a disease. And showing up in a disease.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So figuring out that. So sorry, not to interrupt. So back to those 7.
So the top 7 allergens are gluten, which is in wheat products, soy, dairy, corn, eggs, sugar, and peanuts.
Okay.
And peanuts mainly because of the mold. Not all nuts. If you are going to eat nuts, you should probably eat them raw because they
like raw almonds, raw cashews.
And you can also you might know my cashew cheese recipe is so good.
Look that up, cashew cheese recipe. It is delicious.
So when I take people into my program, we teach them how to not only eat whole foods, but also how to evaluate whether or not one of those top 7 allergens or any food that they're eating is actually causing inflammation and causing disease. And it's fascinating.
So you come off of all of those things initially.
You come off all of those things initially for 3 weeks because you want to rid the body of all of them.
Right.
And then you test one by one. So let's say dairy was your favorite.
So you're hoping it's not dairy.
Right. And so you go, okay, I'm going to test the dairy. Well, you test for a day, and then you wait a day to see if you have any symptoms. And if you have no symptoms.
And symptoms could be?
Anything. I had one person say, well, I tested dairy, but I got a cold. So that doesn't count. I'm going to test it again. I go, no, the cold's the symptom.
So your body, right.
If you have any adverse reaction, that's the symptom.
That could be the symptom. Gotcha.
And I've had people have everything from the alleviation of constipation.
Right.
To colds to, whatever it just
there's, and I know some of
headaches,
you guys,
migraines, a lot of,
migraines for sure.
I had one woman, we discovered that dairy caused migraines, and she said, I'm still going to eat the dairy.
Well, at least she knows what's causing it. You know, you can choose to do what you want to do once you have the information.
That's correct.
We have free will and choice.
Yep.
I mean, it seems crazy to me that you would do that, but I mean, we all do things that we know are bad for us, and sometimes we keep doing it. But hey, I know there is something to this, Kristin, because I've talked to people. In fact, I'm going to have a gal on the show next month who has COPD, our age, unbelievable. I saw her when she told me she had COPD. I'm like, are you for real? Like, how's that possible? And she was on steroids. She couldn't walk from one room to the other. This is what she tells me. She couldn't walk from one room to the other without being out of breath. And basically, they're like, this is what you get. You get to take these steroids forever. And it made her gain weight and blah, blah, blah. The whole story. And she, like you, when the doctor said, this is what you're going to live with, was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. We're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And so she started this on her own. She did the research. She started eating whole foods, taking some good quality supplements. Don't know what they are, but that's what she did. Today, I just met her not long ago at one of our conferences. She still has COPD, but no symptoms.
Right.
She doesn't have to take any medication for it. I mean, it's unbelievable. All from exercising, eating healthy, and good supplements. And so I've met a lady who had cancer, who doesn't have cancer anymore. These are people I've literally met. I mean, I've met you who had this, Epstein-Barr, and you're sharing the story about your mom with rheumatoid arthritis. And, we're not trying to be, let's just put this out here. Chris and I are not doctors.
Nope.
And there's doctors serve a purpose, and we're not trying to tell you that we have the cure-all, end-all for everything. But what we're saying is we both agree that what you're putting in your body, you're responding to. Your body is responding in some form or fashion.
Yes.
There's just that's how it works. So how your body's responding to what you're putting in could be causing
all your symptoms.
Yes. And so you got to figure out what your B is.
You got to figure out what your B is.
Because inflammation's happening on the inside of your body that you can't even see. Tell your story about the corn chip.
So I've obviously done the elimination diet, and I find that I'm just better staying away from all 7 of them. Sugar especially, because the body treats sugar just like it does alcohol. So all these people who are being diagnosed with fatty liver disease, I'm looking at insurance claims data on a regular basis, and year over year, the number of people with fatty liver disease is doubling.
Or otherwise known as cirrhosis of the liver,
which is the alcoholic version of it. But it's the same thing. It's scar tissue, and it's not reversible. The liver is the one organ that you have that can regenerate. Well, skin can too, obviously, but the liver can regenerate, not with cirrhosis and not with fatty liver disease. And I have a sheet of how the body processes sugar and alcohol. It's the same. So sugar is bad for you.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have a glass of wine than a cookie, as you know.
It depends on the day for me. I gotta give up those cookies, though. And obviously I don't sit around eating cookies all day, every day. But sugar I love, as you know. I love sugar. You see me on here with Mary Art Apple, and she brings her baked goods, but obviously she does it very healthy, which is awesome. But still, I love sugar. But I know it's bad, and I really a cookie here or there even. I just got to get better, but it is hard. It's hard to give up sugar, but it is bad.
So
I don't
usually
disagree.
It's your favorite thing. That's your B. And so corn, I grew up, in the Midwest. Love corn.
Sure.
And I love popcorn. I love all things corn.
Yeah. Shanto, popcorn.
But if I have a corn chip, I can literally have 2 corn chips in a day, and the next day I weigh 2 pounds more.
Did you hear that? Couple corn chips one night, 2 pounds more the next day. Now
that's inflammation.
That's inflammation. You did not gain 2 pounds.
I did not eat 77,000 calories worth of food in one day.
Because 3,500 calories is a pound. Right. So the inflammation happens on the inside of your body, and so it shows up on the scale. And, that's another point in itself, too.
And it's the body's response. The body's trying to defend itself, and it's trying to help you. And you get on the scale and think, how did I possibly gain 2 pounds? Well, you didn't gain 2 pounds. But if you don't reverse the condition, you'll keep gaining inflammation weight. You've seen people who lose 14 pounds in a week. It's when people go on the elimination diet just to learn whether they're unhealthy or not, they lose weight rapidly.
And most of that is fluid, inflammation. And I want to say something, too. When Chris and I are speaking in terms of diet, we're not talking about fad diets. We're talking about the food that you're eating. So the elimination diet would just say, for a short period of time, your diet that you're intaking, the food that you're eating is going to eliminate these certain foods.
And you'd be surprised what they're in. You'd be shocked.
That's where you have to start reading the food labels and learn how to, to understand what you're eating.
I have clients send me pictures of the backs of labels. Can I eat this? And I'm like, do you see that 3rd ingredient where it says sugar?
Right.
No. Or that 4th ingredient where it says corn? No.
Yeah. And so maybe you're saying, that's all fine and dandy, but I could never go the rest of my life without eating corn or without eating sugar. And, it seems impossible, but it is doable. And I think success begets success. I think for you, you probably didn't go, okay, I'm never eating a corn chip again. I bet every now and then you find yourself in a weak moment, and just like I eat a cookie, you eat a corn chip. But it gets less and less over time, right? Because
That's correct.
you start to
and you go a long period of time, and they think, oh, I'll try one, and I'll see what happens, and then you find you
get sick.
You get sick, or you don't. I mean, some people they eliminate for a while, and then they can slowly add back in, but you just don't know until you try. It's your body.
Right.
It's got to be. But a lot of people.
Are you saying everybody has a B? Do you think everybody has a B, or do you think some people don't have a B?
I don't know. I do know that environmental factors, like all this, pesticides we spray on our food,
right,
and the air that we breathe,
sure,
the stuff we put on our skin. Your skin's your largest detoxifying organ, but we're constantly putting chemicals and things on it that,
sure.
I mean, you're much better off putting, plain old coconut oil on your skin than you are some of these lotions and things and perfumes. So all of those are likely to cause some hormonal imbalance, which can also lead to problems with the bee.
Okay.
And vice versa. So if you're eating your bee, it can also cause hormonal imbalances. The more we eliminate what the bad thing is, or things, because they can be many,
right,
the more we realize how healthy you can be. For most people with an autoimmune disease or the any diseases that I've dealt with, as they stop eating their bee, their symptoms go away.
And then they feel better.
And they feel better, and they're able to go off medications, and they're able to,
when you get
with
that
the help of their doctor.
And a coach, and when you get that kind of result, then you're that attitude of feeling like you can't do something starts to go away. You start to recognize, wait, I like the way I feel so much better. And then sure, every now and then you might have a weak moment and mess up, but then you have the symptoms, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do that again. And
the more pain someone's in, the more likely they are to change.
Right.
Because they need to.
Right. They have, or have to, because pain is debilitating.
I say that the Epstein bar was probably my greatest gift, because had I not had that, I wouldn't have made these changes until much later in my life. And most people spend more time nowadays dying than they do living.
I know.
And it's led me to a more full life. It's led me
and look at all the information that you learn from your investigating food and supplements and nutrients and what you're teaching all of us, and you're sharing your story and teaching us by what you learned. So
I've created a whole business out of it.
I know. You have. Maybe I didn't even mention that, but yes, Sure Wellness.
Sure Wellness.
So you worked doing for an insurance company and going through all these claims, and now you've kind of started your own business that includes a wellness program.
So we've incorporated a wellness product with an insurance product. So through both, we can save companies significant money. Not just now, but as we get their population healthier, we can, then they're less likely to be at risk, right? They're less likely to have claims. And 70 to 80% of insurance claims are preventable diseases.
Right.
And that's from my own research inside the insurance
if that's the
business.
case, then 70 to 80% of what you might have is something that you can fix yourself with the right tools. And that's what we're saying. And really quick, I want to say this. Even if you're not allergic to something, we're all allergic to processed foods.
That's correct.
So technically, we
and
do.
Sugar, technically.
Technically, we do all have a B, because your body has no idea what to do with processed foods that it doesn't even understand.
Hydrogenated fats, it has no idea what to do with those. And those have a 50-year half-life.
Oh, my gosh.
So there's
scary. We talked about that.
There's no
trans fats, hydrogenated.
Yeah, there's no detoxifying them.
They're stuck.
They're there.
They go in and they stay. All right. That was the fastest half hour ever. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, our time's up, everybody. So enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Stay dry. I think we're under a flash flood warning. I was afraid to come down.
My roof was leaking this morning.
Oh no.
It was horrible.
Well, hopefully your roof's not leaking. But anyway, thanks, Kristin,
Sure.
for
Thank you, Kim.
sharing that information. We could talk all day. A half hour is not enough time.
Especially for us.
I know, because the more you talk, then I get more questions. And then I'm like, wait, does everybody have a bee? And then now really we do, if you think about
Yeah, you do.
processed foods, because your body's going to treat it like a bee because it doesn't know what to do with it.
Well, and 9 times out of 10, and I always say if it comes from a box, a bag, or a window, you probably don't want to eat it.
Right. Which is what we're all eating.
Yeah.
The majority of people.
Yeah. And if you
box,
read,
bag, and window.
if
The
you
3
read-
B's.
Yeah.
Box, bag. No, that's a W. I'm not as smart as you.
Box, bag, or
We
I
got to
don't
come
know.
up with another box, bag, another B. Anyway, so we're probably wrapping it up here.